On the day I had agreed to try on wedding dresses with my boyfriend of 7 years, I arrived at the bridal shop filled with joy. But unexpectedly overheard a conversation between my boyfriend and his friend. "You went to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Sister Julia yesterday to get your marriage certificate, and today you brought Ava to try on wedding dresses. Aren't you afraid Ava will find out and cause a scene?" He looked helpless and said in a hoarse voice, "My brother died in a car accident, and Julia is carrying his child. If I don't take responsibility and marry her, how will they survive as orphans? I will spend my life making it up to Ava. Mind your words, she must never know about this." My heart is like dead ashes, and I turned to schedule an abortion at the hospital. Since he can't provide a complete home for me and the child, it's better not to have it at all. Their conversation was like the biting cold ice of winter, instantly extinguishing all the joy I felt after receiving the pregnancy test results. This morning, I got up early and went to the hospital to get the test results. I was planning to personally tell him this good news at the wedding dress shop, but unexpectedly, he hit me with a blow first. Since he has already gotten a certificate with someone else, why does he still want to hold a wedding with me? "Miss Ava, the wedding dress that Mr. Adrian specially customized for you has arrived. You can try it on now." Hearing this, I was momentarily taken aback. Adrian values this wedding more than anyone else. The wedding ring and wedding dress were all personally designed and supervised by him according to my preferences. Inside the ring, several words are also engraved: 2 hearts in love, trust without doubt. I feel sorry for him having to deal with wedding matters after work, so I suggested hiring a designer to handle everything, but he shook his head and refused, saying, "Designing it myself represents my feelings better. I want you to think of me whenever you see these things in the future." When the people around me learned about this, they all praised him, saying that he would definitely become an excellent husband in the future, and they said I was lucky to have met him. But who knew that his love for me would become so ironic? I gathered my thoughts and walked towards the fitting room where the wedding dress was, only to see a familiar figure. Julia heard the waiter directing me and turned to look at me with a smile. "Ava, you finally made it. Come and see how beautiful your wedding dress is." When she spoke, her expression was particularly natural, resembling a caring big sister. When Adrian's brother was still alive, we had dinner together a few times, and I had quite a bit of contact with Julia as well. In the past, I thought of her as my future sister-in-law, and I would share anything good with her, just to handle the relationship between future sisters-in-law well. If I hadn't just overheard the conversation between Adrian and his friend, I would never have thought she would become an insurmountable barrier between Adrian and me. Thinking of what they just said, I instinctively glanced at her still flat belly, a wave of bitterness surging in my heart. No matter what happens, there is a harbor behind her that she can rely on. But my child and I, we do not have it. I looked pale and glanced at the exquisite wedding dress. "It really is beautiful. Do you want to try it on?" As the words fell, an incredible voice came through. "Ava, what are you talking about? This is your wedding dress, how can you let someone else try it on?" Adrian approached with a hint of anger, his eyes filled with disapproval as he looked at me. I remained calm and indifferent. "What's the big deal? I heard that when Sister Julia married your brother, she didn't wear a wedding dress, so trying it on now can also fulfill the regret from before. They got married hastily, just obtaining a marriage certificate without holding a wedding. Now, Adrian gave her the title of his wife. Then I will help her fulfill the regret of not having a wedding." Julia was moved by my words. After all, no girl has ever not fantasized about being a beautiful bride. Perhaps Adrian also felt that what I said was right. His expression changed slightly, but he didn't say anything more. Julia saw his expression soften, hesitation flashing in her eyes, and tentatively asked, "Can I really give it a try?" I nodded and had someone help her into the wedding dress. Adrian had already put on the groom's suit. Seeing Julia go change into her wedding dress, he thought about changing out of his suit. I reached out and grabbed him. "Sister Julia is pregnant, it's very inconvenient for her to do anything. What if something happens to her if you leave?" Hearing this, he dismissed the thought and quietly stood beside me, waiting. yet a hint of worry flickered in his eyes. Noticing the change in his emotions, a mocking smile curled at the corners of my mouth. Before long, Julia walked out with the staff's guidance. She hasn't shown yet, her figure now resembles mine, and the wedding dress fits her perfectly. Julia couldn't hide her joy on her face and pretended to be modest as she asked, "Adrian, do I look good in this?" Hearing her words, Adrian, whose gaze had been fixed on her without a moment's distraction, came back to his senses and softly replied, "Hmm." The next moment, another staff member walked over. Seeing this, they couldn't help but exclaim, "The wedding dress looks truly beautiful on you. You are the most perfect bride and groom I have ever seen." As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present changed. Julia glanced at Adrian anxiously, then put on a smile and explained, "No, you misunderstand." Before she could finish speaking, I clapped my hands and sincerely exclaimed, "It really suits you, Sister Julia. This wedding dress is simply a match made in heaven. So beautiful, how can we not let everyone appreciate it?" As the words fell, Adrian looked at me with a hint of disbelief in his eyes. After all, I have always been very sensitive about others touching my things. Especially this wedding dress, which holds such significant meaning. And now, not only did he give her the right to try it on, but he also generously praised her. "Ava, you." I blinked and looked at him. "All right, I was just saying it casually. I suddenly remembered there are things at work that I haven't finished, and I'm in a hurry to get back to the company, so I won't disturb you all." With that, I walked straight towards the entrance of the bridal shop. Seeing this, Adrian wanted to come over. But Julia held him back. As I walked towards the door and looked inside, I happened to see Adrian supporting her as they walked towards the fitting room. His support was careful and cautious, his gaze fixed on her without a moment's distraction. It was as if, with her presence, no one else could exist in his eyes. At that moment, I felt a bit dazed. Did he marry her out of the responsibility he spoke of? Or did he really like her? I couldn't find the answer, nor did I want to humiliate myself further. The next day, I arrived at the hospital as scheduled for the pre-surgery examination. When the doctor asked about the child's father, I said, "He is busy with work and doesn't have time to be with me." When I woke up in the morning, I thought about telling him this matter. But I called him several times, and not once did he answer. After the surgery, the color drained from my face as I weakly leaned against the wall and walked out of the hospital. As I walked into the hospital lobby, I saw Adrian accompanying Julia for her prenatal checkup. They all looked at me in surprise. A look of astonishment flashed in Adrian's eyes as he asked in confusion, "Are you feeling unwell? Why did you come to the hospital alone?" Before I could speak, Julia spoke up first. "Ava, don't think that just because you're young you can neglect your health. No matter how busy you are with work, you need to take care of yourself and not make Adrian worry about you." Her tone was serious and earnest, yet one could faintly detect a hint of detachment in her words. I pressed my lips together and said, "I've finished the checkup, you can leave once you get the medicine. You all should hurry and go for your prenatal checkup." Adrian's eyes were filled with worry as he was about to walk towards me, but Julia pulled him back. "Adrian, it's our turn now, let's go ahead." As she spoke, she pretended to be uncomfortable and rubbed her lower abdomen. "I don't know if it's because I've been worrying too much lately, but I feel a bit uneasy in my stomach, and I wonder if it will affect the baby." She emphasized the word baby, and the worry in Adrian's eyes faded away. With a face full of guilt, he said, "Ava, you go back first. I'll come find you after I finish the checkup with Julia." In the past, when his brother was still around, he always referred to Julia as sister-in-law with great respect. But now he calls her so affectionately. Looking at their family of 3, I clearly realized that I had become a true outsider among them. The man who once said he would love me for a lifetime no longer has me in his heart. I remember how he would always put me first, no matter what happened before. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I choked out, "All right, you can go." On the way home, I gazed at the familiar scenery flashing by outside the car window, and images of the times we spent together flashed through my mind. I met Adrian in high school. At that time, he was my deskmate. He was a quiet bookworm, while I was lively and active. My parents are busy with work, and they're worried I won't take care of myself, so they let me live on campus. I find the breakfast in the cafeteria unappetizing, so I always nag him to bring me breakfast from outside. He feels helpless, yet always indulges me. And this has been going on for 3 years. After graduating from high school, we tacitly chose the same university. As old classmates who have known each other for 3 years, I always can't help but seek him out for warmth in unfamiliar surroundings. I am used to turning to him whenever I have a problem, and he patiently helps me solve my troubles. My mom often says that I shouldn't trouble others like this. I disagreed and relayed what she said to Adrian. At that moment, he put down his pen and said casually, "Do you really think I'm some kind of nice guy? Ava, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't bother with you at all." His affection for me is superficial, I knew it a long time ago. So I indulged freely in his kindness towards me. Later, after we got together, he no longer hid his love for me. As long as he was there, I could be carefree forever. My mom knows about his sacrifices for me and always teases me, saying that the hardest thing I've ever encountered in my life is just going to work. But now I feel she was wrong. The most painful thing I've experienced isn't going to work. It's that the person I like married someone else. And I was the last to know. Thinking of the past, I cried until my eyes were red. The driver uncle saw this and handed me a tissue, advising, "Little girl, there is no obstacle in this world that can't be overcome. Always look forward, good fortune is waiting for you ahead." I took the paper and choked out my thanks. After getting off the bus and paying, I was just about to chat with my friend when I accidentally clicked into my moments. Only then did I see the new update that Julia posted 5 minutes ago. She posted an ultrasound image and a photo of Adrian looking down at the examination report, captioning it, "Baby, come out soon, Mommy and Daddy can't wait to see you." Scrolling down, the first comment is from Adrian's mom. She said, "Grandma is looking forward to it too. I can't wait to see my grandson." The comment section is filled with people from the Liu family. From their comments, it seems they all know about Adrian marrying Julia. I remember the kindness of the Liu family when I visited them a few days ago. I find it incredibly amusing. I can hardly help but wonder if, when I talked about the wedding at the Liu family, they were all secretly laughing at me. My boyfriend got married to someone else while I was still eagerly looking forward to a fake wedding. I raised my hand to wipe away the tears at the corner of my eye and returned home. Before Adrian and I set our wedding date, the Liu family gave gold jewelry and a betrothal gift. I returned home and packed all the things they sent into a cardboard box. On the day of the wedding, I will return everything they sent me. After that, I will have no further ties with the Liu family. After the abortion, I felt very weak, so I took a few days off to rest at home. One day, while I was dozing off, I vaguely sensed someone approaching. When I opened my eyes, I saw a familiar face. Adrian touched my cold hands, looking anxious. "Ava, are you feeling unwell? Should I take you to the hospital for a checkup?" If it were in the past, I would have pouted and rushed to him, seeking warmth in his embrace. But now, I pulled my hand back from his and tucked it under the covers, humming, "It's just a common cold, no need to go to the hospital." Adrian didn't notice my resistance and shook his head helplessly. "Why didn't you tell me you had a cold? We're getting married, so why be polite with me?" Hearing the words "getting married," my dazed mind gradually became clear. Marriage? Yes, he really did get married. I glanced at the cardboard box in the corner and said softly, "Well, since we're getting married, you should take your things back today." We don't live together, but he occasionally comes over to stay here for a while, so there are quite a few of his personal belongings in the house. The day I returned from the hospital, I packed everything up. Adrian didn't sense anything wrong, his face showing a smile. "Well, anyway, after we get married, we will all move to the wedding house." I did not respond to what he said. That night, Adrian made me a bowl of warm century egg and lean meat congee before he got ready to leave with his things. Watching his departing figure, I softly said, "Don't come back for a while. I have a cold and can't infect you. Just stay home and get ready to be the most handsome groom." He felt helpless about this, but he also followed my words. In the following days, he didn't come over, but still, as usual, he occasionally sent me messages. And I always replied perfunctorily. Time flashed by, and soon it was the day of the wedding. I did not wear the wedding dress personally designed by Adrian as I rushed towards the future I had once imagined. Instead, I bought a high-speed train ticket to travel to Yunnan. Just before getting on the train, the hotel called me to ask when I would arrive. I quickly sent Julia's photo to her and told her, "This is the real bride." Before, I was just helping her rehearse. "You just need to find her and help her change clothes and do her makeup." After saying this, I blocked and deleted Adrian's contact information one by one. Then I took out the SIM card and put it in my bag. After doing all these things, I rarely felt a sense of relief. "Adrian, I wish you an unforgettable day." On the other side, Adrian had been looking forward to this day for a long time, and after arriving at the hotel, he was filled with happiness. Adrian's mother felt quite helpless upon seeing this, but she reminded him, "Take it easy later, don't overdo it. Julia is sensitive right now, so be careful not to hurt her feelings." Mentioning Julia, Adrian's smile faded a bit. "I understand, Mom. From now on, be nicer to Ava and don't let her catch on." Adrian's mother sighed and nodded in agreement. Soon, the wedding ceremony began. Adrian didn't know why, but a bad premonition surged in his heart. He looked around anxiously, but did not see the figure of my parents. He didn't know that on the day I was preparing to elope, I had already told my parents about these things. Now, he couldn't see the shadows of the two old people, and he felt an inexplicable sense of panic in his heart. Just as I was about to ask if anyone had seen them, the officiant announced the start of the wedding. He could only endure and wait in place. But when he saw Julia walking towards him in her wedding dress, the smile on his face completely froze, and he looked pale and weak, his lips trembling as he said, "Why are you here? Where is Ava?" Before Julia could say anything, a man in a delivery uniform walked in holding a gift box. He shouted loudly, "Who is Mr. Adrian? I have a wedding gift sent by Miss Ava, please sign for it." As soon as these words were spoken, the whole place erupted in noise. Everyone knew that the two protagonists of this wedding were Adrian and Ava. And now I am not present, yet I have sent a wedding gift. Adrian heard his words, his gaze vacant and lifeless, as if all his soul had been drained away, stumbling towards the delivery person. He did not sign for it immediately, but first opened the cardboard box. The moment he opened it, his eyes were drawn to the gold jewelry inside and a bank card containing the dowry. Seeing the things inside, helplessness and despair gradually consumed his heart. He raised the corners of his lips as if to smile, but the smile looked worse than crying. Tears wet his eyes, and his voice carried a sobbing tone. "She broke off the engagement with me. Ava doesn't want me anymore." "Why doesn't she want me anymore?" His hands trembled as he held the gift box, asking one question after another. No one present could give him an answer. Adrian's mother sensed something was wrong and hurried over. Just as she was about to say something, she heard his words. "And the things placed inside the cardboard box." In a fit of anger, he scolded, "Is this the good girlfriend you found? On the day of the wedding, she runs away, making you look foolish in front of so many people." Saying this, her peripheral vision glanced at Julia not far away, her expression softening, "But this is good too, you and Julia can go ahead and hold the wedding, after all, you've already gotten the certificate, you are a real couple." Before she could finish her sentence, Adrian, with red-rimmed eyes, interrupted her angrily and gritted his teeth, saying, "Mom, the only one I love is Ava." "So what? You love her, are you going to disregard Julia? Don't forget, she is carrying your brother's only child." No matter how unwilling he was, Adrian's mother still made him endure and complete the wedding. "When I arrive at my destination, I will freshen up and look for a nearby restaurant with good ratings. Unexpectedly, I accidentally clicked into Moments. At a glance, I saw that Julia had just posted a new update 2 minutes ago. She sent 2 photos, one of the wedding room decorated with the character for happiness, and the other of her newly edited contact photo, where she changed Adrian's name to the father of the child. Paisley Dow said, "It's such a pity that the baby hasn't been born yet and couldn't witness the happiest day of mom and dad, but from now on, we will continue to be happy. Please take care of us in the future, kids' dad." Seeing this post, my expression darkened, and just as I was about to exit, I saw Adrian's comment. "Just a simple This could also be considered a silent acknowledgement of her title. Child's father? Looking at this title, I find it increasingly amusing. At that moment, I suddenly wanted to know. What kind of expression would he have if he knew we once had a child? I clicked on his avatar, wanting to pull him out of the blacklist. But after thinking it over, I decided against it. If I'm going to let go, I need to let go completely. I leisurely played in Yunnan for a week, before calmly buying a return ticket. But when I got home, I happened to run into my neighbor who was just about to go out at the door. She saw the surprise flash in my eyes and smiled, saying, "You finally came back. Your boyfriend has been going crazy looking for you during this time, coming to wait at the door every day. He just left, so you still have time to chase after him now." I shrugged dismissively. "We've broken up, I don't have a boyfriend. If you see him again, please call security for me, thank you." After chatting with her for a bit, I opened the door and walked in. I changed the locks at home before leaving, so Adrian couldn't get in. I didn't take my neighbor's words to heart and, as usual, washed up and rested. The next day, I arrived at the company full of energy. Seeing me, my usually friendly colleagues immediately gathered around. After glancing around, one of them quietly asked, "Didn't you take leave recently to get married? Why is your husband coming to the company to look for you? He even told me to contact him if I saw you. Are you two having some kind of conflict?" In the days I was away, Adrian would occasionally come to the office looking for me. If he couldn't find me at the office, he would wait outside my house after work. What she said did not stir even the slightest ripple in my heart. I replied calmly, "I'm on annual leave, not a honeymoon. Also, I've already broken up, I have nothing to do with him anymore." "What? You two were so in love before, always together, how did you suddenly break up?" "Colleagues are just colleagues, there's no need to discuss so many personal matters." I replied perfunctorily, "We have incompatible personalities." Perhaps she sensed that I didn't want to continue discussing this topic, so she didn't press further. When I finished work and had just packed my things to leave the company, I saw Adrian's car parked by the roadside. I turned a blind eye and walked in the opposite direction. However, a familiar voice called out from behind me. "Ava!" Adrian shouted anxiously, opening the car door and chasing after her. When he saw my face clearly, his brows were filled with the joy of having lost and found again. "Ava, you finally came back, I missed you so much." I did not look directly into his eyes, but glanced behind him. I just saw Julia sitting in the passenger seat of his car, smiling at me with her lips raised. But upon closer inspection, I could tell that there was a hint of provocation in that smile. Now everyone knows that they are already married, so there's no need to pretend anymore? Sure enough, before I could say anything, she got out of the car, her face showing concern. "Ava, where have you been these past few days? Adrian and I have been so worried about you, especially Adrian. He's been so worried about you that he can't eat. Just look at him, he's lost weight, and it's so painful to see." It sounds like they are worried about me, but in reality, they are secretly provoking me. "He is your husband, caring for him is your business, what does it have to do with me?" I said lightly, but Adrian's face turned a shade paler. His fingers trembled lightly, as if bearing endless heartache. "Ava, the only one I've ever wanted to marry is you." Hearing this, I felt utterly disgusted. His eyes showed a hint of impatience. "Adrian, if I don't make things clear, you really think I'm a fool, don't you? You've already gotten a marriage certificate with her, and yet you want to have a wedding with me. What do you take me for?" He got married, and our relationship is not legally recognized. I am just the mistress that everyone wants to condemn. And what I hate the most is being the third party that destroys someone else's relationship. No, Ava, we only have a nominal relationship. There are no feelings between us. Adrian was anxious to explain, but he didn't notice that Julia's expression changed. Suddenly, Julia, with a pained expression, clutched her stomach and cried out, "Adrian, I suddenly feel a sharp pain in my belly. Will you accompany me to the hospital?" Adrian's expression froze, a conflict flashing in his eyes. I scoffed sarcastically, "Hurry and take your wife to see, don't hurt your son." After saying that, without waiting for his response, I turned and went to the roadside, casually hailed a taxi, and left. I thought I had made myself clear, and that I wouldn't see anyone from the Liu family again. But unexpectedly, when I got home from work the next day and just stepped out of the elevator, I saw Adrian's mother waiting at the door. As soon as she saw me, without waiting for me to speak, she knelt down in front of me and cried out, "I beg you, as this old woman, please spare my son. He has a wife and children now, they can't live without him. It is now the peak time for getting off work, and the neighbors are also finishing work at this time." She shouted a couple of times, and people started coming out of the elevator one after another. Seeing this scene before me, I couldn't help but stop and watch. From what this old lady is saying, this woman is the mistress who is ruining her son and daughter-in-law's relationship. Seeing her usually dressed so flamboyantly, one can tell she's not a good woman. I didn't expect she was really a mistress. Such a disgrace to our morals, how can such a person live among us? Hearing the whispers and murmurs around me, anger surged within me, and I couldn't help but say, "What you're saying is what I want to say too. I'm begging you, let your son leave me alone, and don't come looking for me again. I have told him before that I am not someone who must have him. If he disappoints me one day, I will turn around and leave without hesitation. Just like now, I have made up my mind to break up with him, and I will absolutely not look back." As soon as I finished speaking, I saw a figure rushing out from the fire escape. Adrian ran with a flushed face, looking at me with disappointment in his eyes, his breath uneven, and he said intermittently, "Ava, were you speaking from the heart just now?" I looked straight into his eyes and said word by word, "Yes. I cannot afford to provoke the Liu family. Please go back to where you came from, I never want to see you again." "Alright, then remember what you said today, and don't bother my son again." Adrian's mother stood up abruptly, her tone haughty, "And I certainly won't allow you to cause trouble for my daughter-in-law, or else don't blame me for being rude." "Mom. Don't say any more." Adrian's words were filled with anger, interrupting her speech. At that moment, my good neighbor burst out of the crowd, shouting, "Ava has never been entangled with your son, it's your son who has been obsessively pursuing her. During the days she was away, your son stood at her door like a freak every day. He always asked me about her, but never told me they had broken up. There's surveillance on my door, if you don't believe me, I can show you the footage." With her testimony, those who looked at me through colored glasses showed a flicker of guilt in their eyes. Even Adrian's mother, who was as smooth-tongued as they come, was left speechless. Being exposed, Adrian was not angry and admitted calmly, "Yes, she never entangled me, it has always been me who was entangled." He looked at me with a sense of helplessness and guilt in his eyes. Adrian's mother was so angry that her face turned red. With a cold snort, she fled from here. Adrian wanted to talk to me again, but I spoke before he could open his mouth. "What I just said was from the heart, I never want to see you again, please don't come looking for me." Having said that, I disregarded his pleas and opened the door, walking in on my own. When I finished washing up and was ready to deal with the unfinished work, I received several notifications from shopping apps. Out of curiosity, I clicked in to take a look. I saw that a few minutes ago, another family account I had linked had purchased a lot of baby supplies. There are also a few pieces of sexy lingerie for pregnancy. I just remembered that I had bound a family number with Adrian a long time ago. We both know what we bought on the software. Seeing these disgusting people's orders, I couldn't help but recall Adrian's appearance when he sought peace, a trace of sarcasm flickering in my eyes. I clicked into the page and forcibly cancelled the binding of the family number. I checked again to ensure there was nothing left in my phone related to Adrian. Before I knew it, the weekend arrived, and my neighbor, worried that I might overthink at home, invited me to go out shopping. Arriving at the mall, she waved her hand generously and said, "What milk tea do you want? Feel free to choose, today it's on me." We both share anything good we have in our daily lives, and there are countless times we've casually bought milk tea for each other. So I didn't hold back with her, followed her arrangement, and ordered a cup of milk tea. Just as we were waiting for the milk tea, a familiar figure burst into my sight. Looking closely, the woman's figure not far away was indistinguishable from Julia's. It's just that the woman is holding on to a stranger. Before I could see her face clearly, they walked into the hotel across the street. "What are you looking at?" "Nothing." Thinking that it might have nothing to do with her and me, I didn't take this matter to heart. Just as I was about to go to sleep at night, a sudden and unfamiliar phone call broke my drowsiness. I had just picked up the phone when a thunderous cry came from the other end. "Ava, you heartless one, how could you just stand by and watch others harm my daughter-in-law and grandson? Give me back my grandson's life." Hearing this baffling statement, I was completely confused. Before I could ask, the cries faded away, followed by Adrian's hoarse voice. He said Julia was bullied by others and was urgently taken to the hospital after a severe hemorrhage. And when she was taken into the operating room, she kept calling my name. This nonsensical remark made me laugh in anger. Adrian's mother insisted that I go to the hospital to take a look. I originally didn't want to go. But thinking of Adrian's mother's relentless nature when things aren't done well, I could only change my clothes and rush over. By the time I arrived at the hospital, Julia was just being wheeled out of the operating room. As soon as she saw me, her eyes filled with tears, and her whole body trembled helplessly. Adrian's mother was so furious that her eyes turned red, cursing and wanting to hit me, but Adrian silently turned around and stood in front of me. "She has killed your only child, and you still protect her like this. Have you forgotten how good your brother was to you before?" "Mom, this has nothing to do with her." "No, it's her. She hates me for taking Adrian, so she wants to harm me and the child. Mom, you have to stand up for me." Hearing this, I couldn't help but be both angry and amused. But she also understood that the figure she saw in the afternoon was her. My face remained unchanged, and I asked lightly, "Are you sure your accident has anything to do with me?" "If you're really sure, I'll call the police now." Mentioning the police made Julia's expression change repeatedly, and she stammered, "After all, you almost became a daughter-in-law of the Liu family. For Adrian's sake, there's no need to make such a big deal out of this." I let out a cold laugh. "No, I think it's very necessary to call the police. After all, if I don't report it, who can clear my name?" Saying this, I took out my phone and dialed the emergency number in front of him. Julia looked flustered, struggling to snatch my phone away. And I calmly said, "This afternoon I saw you walk into a hotel with a man. If you call the police now, I can help you make a statement. I believe the police will soon be able to investigate the truth of this matter." "No. No way, we can't call the police." Ignoring her screams, I insisted on dialing the emergency number. Julia's face turned ashen after hearing what I said. She originally thought that I wouldn't see her in the afternoon, and that she could luck out and frame me, so that no one would verify whether what she said was true or false. But she didn't expect that at the same time she saw me in the afternoon, I also saw her. After finishing this matter, I was just about to leave. The doctor who performed my abortion surgery just came out of the operating room. Seeing me, surprise flashed in her eyes, and she asked, "You just had surgery, why haven't you come for a checkup in the past few days?" "Operation? What operation?" The doctor looked puzzled. "The abortion surgery?" She went home the very first day after the operation, and I still don't know how her recovery is going. Saying this, she turned her gaze to me. "Since you're here, why not do a checkup? Girls should take better care of themselves." As soon as these words were spoken, Adrian and his mother's faces turned pale. Adrian's eyes were filled with disbelief as he trembled and asked, "Our child is gone?" I did not answer him, turning to leave with the doctor. I had barely taken a few steps when I heard the sound of someone falling to the ground behind me. Turning the corner and looking back, Adrian's mother sat on the ground, crying uncontrollably, repeatedly shouting, "My grandson, gone." When I finished my checkup and came out of the doctor's office, I saw him waiting at the door. His eyes were bloodshot, with tears still glistening in the sockets, as if he had just wept bitterly. "Do you have nothing to say to me?" His voice was hoarse beyond belief. I shook my head and said, "There's nothing more to say between us, let's part ways amicably." "Ava, I still love you. How can we part ways amicably? I never thought we would separate." His voice was filled with tears and despair. "But from the moment you married Julia, it was already destined that we would part ways. Don't tell me you married her just out of responsibility. There are many ways to care for someone, and marriage is not the only option. Ava, I really had no choice but to marry her. My brother is gone, and the child will be born without a father, making it easy for others to bully them. Moreover, Julia is an orphan, she has no parents to support her. How can she raise the child on her own?" This sounded particularly ridiculous to me, but I couldn't laugh. "Yes, it's not easy for her to live with the child. Have you ever thought about me? If I really had a wedding with you and later had a child, what would I and the child be? If her life is difficult, do we not feel sad? Adrian, your love is too cheap, I can't afford it. I'm begging you, let me go, okay? I give up this child, firstly because I don't want him to live with the identity of an illegitimate child, and secondly because I don't want him to ask in the future why his father has two homes." Adrian's eyes turned red from crying upon hearing this. He still couldn't make a choice between Sister Gu and me. I couldn't be bothered to waste words with him and turned to leave. Not long after, the police filed a case and began to focus on investigating the truth of the matter. Just as the police were getting some leads, a tall man burst into Julia's hospital room and, ignoring her screams, slapped her twice. "Cheap woman, how dare you call the police? Did you forget how promiscuous you were when you seduced me? Now you actually dare to report me for rape. Do you believe I won't send them all our videos to show them? If you won't let me have it easy, I won't let you have it easy either." Julia was slapped hard by him twice and stammered, trying to explain. "You damn it, you think that marrying Adrian means someone will protect you, right? I'll tell him right away that the child you're carrying is mine. Let's see who will still protect you, you worthless woman." Panic flashed in Julia's eyes as she shook her head repeatedly, pleading with him to stop talking. However, what he said was clearly heard by Adrian and his mother, who were standing outside the door. Adrian's mother rushed into the ward in a fit of rage, and taking advantage of Julia's moment of shock, slapped her across the face, shouting, "You wretched thing, because of you, my grandson is gone. Give me back my grandson." Thinking that because of her, she lost her true grandson. In a fit of anger, I closed my eyes and fainted. Adrian originally wanted to settle the score with Julia and the others. But seeing this scene, he hurriedly called for a doctor. After a series of examinations, Adrian's mother was diagnosed with acute stroke and will have to spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. When she learned this news, tears filled with regret slipped from the corners of Adrian's mother's eyes. Adrian proposed a divorce to Julia, but Julia was unwilling and clung tightly to the idea of not getting divorced. This time, Adrian didn't give her another chance. He secretly collected evidence of her infidelity during their marriage, directly filed for divorce, and demanded that she leave with nothing. When I learned about this matter, I felt quite emotional, but that was all. Everyone is an adult now and must learn to take responsibility for their choices. No one is exempt. The story ends.